Captain Jake Morrison walked slowly across the bridge of his ship. The Horizon was the newest and best ship that Earth had ever built. It was his home now, far away from Earth, exploring the dark spaces between the stars. Jake had been in space for 3 years, looking for new worlds where humans could live. The bridge was quiet except for the soft sounds of computers working. Jake liked it this way. It helped him think clearly. He stopped in front of the big screen that showed the stars outside. Each tiny light was a sun, maybe with planets around it, maybe with life. Lieutenant Amy Collins sat at her workstation, near the front of the bridge. She was young, but very smart. Jake trusted her to watch the ship's sensors while they traveled through space. Amy had been working for 2 hours straight, checking signals from far away. "Captain," Amy said suddenly. Her voice sounded worried. "You need to come look at this right now." Jake walked over to Amy's station. On her screen were lines and numbers that showed what the ship's sensors could see. Something was moving out there in space. Something big. "What am I looking at?" Jake asked. Amy pressed some buttons and the image got clearer. "These are ships, Captain, lots of them. They're moving toward our solar system." Jake felt his stomach drop. The shapes on the screen were not human ships. They were too big and the wrong shape. Human ships were long and thin. These ships were wide and had strange angles. "How many ships?" Jake asked. Amy counted the dots on her screen. "Over 200, Captain, maybe more. They're still too far away to count exactly." Dr. Kevin Walsh came over from his science station. Kevin was older than Jake and had studied aliens for most of his life, but he had never seen real alien ships before. No human had. "Captain, I've been watching these signals for the last hour," Kevin said. "These ships are not like anything we've ever built. Their engines are much more powerful than ours, and they're moving in a straight line toward Earth." Jake looked at the screen again. The alien ships were arranged in groups, like a military formation. This was not a peaceful visit. This was an invasion fleet. "Can we talk to them?" Jake asked. Amy tried sending radio messages in many different languages. She sent mathematical signals that any smart species should understand. She sent pictures that showed Earth and humans. Nothing worked. The alien ships did not answer. "They're ignoring us completely," Amy said. "Either they can't hear us or they don't want to talk." Commander Lisa Stone came onto the bridge. She was Jake's second in command and his best friend. Lisa was tough and smart. She had been a soldier before she became a space officer. "What's the situation?" Lisa asked. Jake pointed to the screen. "We found them. Or they found us. 200 alien warships heading straight for Earth." Lisa studied the display. She had seen many battles, but never anything like this. "How long until they reach Earth?" Kevin checked his calculations. "At their current speed, about 4 days. Maybe less if they speed up." 4 days, Jake repeated. "That's not much time." Lisa walked to the communication station. "We need to warn Earth immediately. Every minute counts now." Jake nodded. "Amy, send a priority message to Earth Defense Command. Tell them we have contact with a hostile alien force. Include all our sensor data." Amy's fingers moved quickly across her controls. "Message sent, Captain. It will take 6 hours to reach Earth because of the distance." Jake sat down in his captain's chair. 6 hours for the message to travel through space. Then Earth would need time to prepare. But prepare for what? These alien ships were clearly more advanced than anything humans had built. Dr. Kevin Walsh continued studying the alien ships. "Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures from their weapons. The power levels are incredible. Each of their ships could probably destroy one of our cities." "What about their defenses?" Lisa asked. "From what I can see, their hull armor is much thicker than ours, and they have some kind of energy shields around each ship. Our weapons might not even scratch them." Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He was just one man with one ship, facing an entire alien invasion fleet. But he was also the only human who could see them coming, the only one who could gather information that might save Earth. "We need to learn everything we can about these ships," Jake said. "Their weapons, their shields, their weaknesses, anything that might help Earth defend itself." Amy looked up from her station. Captain, should we get closer to them? It was a dangerous idea. If the aliens detected the horizon, they might attack, but they needed better information about the enemy. Yes, Jake decided, but carefully. Use the asteroid field near Jupiter to hide our approach. We'll observe them without being seen. Lisa began planning their route. If we're careful, we can get close enough for detailed scans without being detected. The horizon changed course, moving toward the outer edge of the solar system. Jake watched the alien fleet on the screen. Each ship was larger than Earth's biggest battleship. Their formation was perfect, like they had done this many times before. Dr. Kevin Walsh made a disturbing discovery. Captain, I'm picking up data transmissions between their ships. The signals are encoded, but I can detect patterns. This looks like military communication protocols. They're coordinated, Lisa observed. This isn't just a random group of ships. This is an organized invasion force. Jake stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. Outside the window, he could see the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was turning peacefully, unaware that death was coming from space. 3 billion people going about their normal lives, not knowing that aliens were planning to destroy them. How long until our message reaches Earth? Jake asked. 5 hours and 30 minutes, Amy replied. 5.5 hours before Earth knew they were in danger. Then Earth would need time to prepare their defenses. But what defenses could stop 200 advanced alien warships? Jake made a decision. That would change everything. We're going to follow them. We're going to learn everything we can about these aliens, and we're going to find a way to stop them. The horizon moved through space toward the alien fleet, carrying the hopes of all humanity. Admiral Carl Hayes sat in the command center deep under the ground in Colorado. The room was full of screens and computers that connected him to every military base on Earth. He had just received the most frightening message in human history. The message from Captain Jake Morrison was clear. 200 alien warships were coming to Earth. They would arrive in less than 4 days. They had weapons that could destroy cities. They were not responding to any attempts at communication. Carl had been a military leader for 30 years. He had fought in 3 wars and survived countless battles, but he had never faced anything like this. How do you fight an enemy from the stars? General Nancy Parker walked into the command center. She was in charge of defending Earth from any attack. Nancy was tough and smart, but she looked worried today. I've read the report from the horizon, Nancy said. This is worse than we thought. Our best ships would be like toys against their technology. Carl nodded. What's our current military strength? Nancy pulled up a display showing Earth's defenses. We have 48 battleships, 120 cruisers, and 300 smaller combat ships, plus the orbital defense platforms around Earth and Mars. Against 200 alien ships with superior technology, Carl said quietly. We would last maybe 10 minutes in a direct fight, Nancy admitted. Carl called an emergency meeting of the United Earth Defense Council. Leaders from every country came together in the secure conference room. President Tom Wilson from America was there, Prime Minister Kate Adams from Britain, Chairman Liu Wei from China, all the most powerful people on Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl began, we are facing the end of human civilization as we know it. He showed them the data from Jake's ship. The alien fleet was massive and advanced. Their weapons could destroy Earth's cities from space. Their ships had shields that human weapons could not penetrate. What are our options? President Wilson asked. General Nancy Parker stood up. We have 3 choices. We can surrender and hope. They let us live as slaves. We can fight and die quickly, or we can evacuate as many people as possible to the colonies on Mars and the Moon. How many people could we evacuate? Asked Prime Minister Adams. Maybe 50,000 people, Nancy replied. Out of 3 billion on Earth. The room was silent. Every leader understood what this meant. Almost everyone on Earth would die. That's when Dr. Alex Turner spoke up from the back of the room. Alex was a scientist from the Mars colonies. He was young but brilliant. He had been working on new ways to use energy from stars. There is a 4th option, Alex said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. Carl had invited Alex because he was one of the smartest people alive. But what could Science do against an alien invasion? We can't fight them with weapons, Alex continued, but we can send them a message they will never forget. What kind of message? President Wilson asked. Alex walked to the front of the room. He looked nervous but determined. We can show them that humans would rather die free than live as slaves. We can threaten to destroy our own sun. The room erupted in shocked voices. Everyone was talking at once. The idea was insane. That's impossible, said Chairman Liu. And if it was possible, it would kill everyone on Earth. Alex held up his hand for quiet. Not destroy the sun completely. We can trigger a controlled solar flare. A massive burst of energy that would be visible across the galaxy. It would show every alien species that humans chose death over surrender. General Nancy Parker looked interested. Would it actually work? The science is possible, Alex replied. We would need to use gravitational resonance to disturb the sun's core. It's incredibly dangerous, but it can be done. Carl studied the young scientist. You're talking about playing with forces that could destroy our entire solar system. Yes, Alex said simply. But if we do nothing, the aliens will destroy us anyway. At least this way, we die on our own terms. Dr. Helen Baker, Earth's top physicist, joined the conversation. She had been listening quietly, doing calculations in her head. The gravitational resonance theory is sound, Helen said. We would need to modify our deep space communication arrays to generate the precise frequency patterns. It would take about 60 hours of continuous work. Engineer Pete Davis raised his hand. I can modify the arrays, but we would need perfect timing. One mistake and we could destroy the sun completely. The room was quiet again. Everyone was thinking about the same thing. They were discussing the end of the world. President Wilson spoke first. If we do this, there's no going back. We would be gambling with the lives of every person on Earth. We're already gambling with those lives, Carl replied. The aliens are coming whether we like it or not. Prime Minister Adams asked the question everyone was thinking. What if they call our bluff? What if they don't believe we would actually destroy ourselves? Alex looked around the room. Then we follow through. We trigger the full solar collapse and take them with us. The silence stretched on for long minutes. These leaders were being asked to approve the possible destruction of their own world. Chairman Liu finally spoke. How would we communicate this threat to the aliens? Captain Morrison's ship is positioned between Earth and the alien fleet, Carl explained. He can broadcast our message on all frequencies. Every ship in space will hear it. General Nancy Parker made her decision. I think we should do it. We're going to lose anyway. At least this way we go down fighting. One by one, the other leaders agreed. It was the hardest decision in human history, but it was unanimous. President Wilson stood up. Then it's decided. We prepare the solar resonance device, we send our message to the aliens, and we show the galaxy that humanity bows to no one. Dr. Alex Turner and his team immediately began working on the modifications. They had less than 4 days to build a device that could threaten their own sun. Pete Davis gathered the best engineers on Earth. As the meeting ended, Carl sent a message to Captain Morrison. Jake, we have a plan. It's crazy and dangerous, but it might work. Stand by for further instructions. Far away in space, Jake received the message. He didn't know what Earth was planning, but he trusted his leaders. Whatever they were going to do, he would help them do it. The countdown to humanity's greatest gamble had begun. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching the alien fleet get closer to Earth. 2 days had passed since Earth's leaders made their decision. The solar resonance device was almost ready. Soon, Jake would have to deliver humanity's message to the aliens. The alien ships were now close enough for Jake to see them clearly on his screens. Each ship was massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built. Their hulls were dark and covered with strange markings. Weapons, pointed forward like the teeth of giant monsters. Lieutenant Amy Collins worked at her station, monitoring the alien communications. For 2 days, the aliens had ignored every attempt at contact. They flew through space in perfect formation, heading straight for Earth like they owned it already. Captain, Amy said suddenly, I'm getting a signal from the lead alien ship. Jake felt his heart beat faster. Put it on the main screen. The view screen flickered and changed. A face appeared that was not human. The alien had gray skin and large black eyes. Its head was bigger than a human head and it had no hair. When it spoke, its voice was cold and emotionless. Humans of Earth, the alien said. I am Commander Zeth of the Dominion Fleet. Your world belongs to us now. You will surrender immediately and prepare for occupation. Jake stepped forward. He had prepared for this moment, but seeing the alien face to face made it real. This was humanity's enemy. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the human race, Jake replied. We received your message, but we have a message for you too. The alien commander tilted its head slightly. You wish to negotiate terms of surrender? No, Jake said firmly. We wish to tell you why you should leave our system immediately. Commander. Zeth made a sound that might have been laughter. Your ships are weak, your weapons are primitive, you cannot stop us. Jake looked at Amy and nodded. She began the sequence that would start the solar resonance device back on Earth. Deep space arrays around the planet began to focus energy toward the sun. You're right, Jake said to the alien. We cannot stop you with weapons, but we can do something you have never seen before. On Earth, Dr. Alex Turner watched his instruments as the gravitational resonance began. The sun's surface started to change. Small flares appeared, growing bigger every minute. The star that gave life to Earth was beginning to pulse with unnatural energy. Commander Zeth looked confused. What are you doing to your star? Jake smiled, but it was not a happy smile. We are showing you what humans do when faced with slavery. We choose death instead. The alien's large eyes grew even wider. You would destroy your own world? Watch and learn, Jake replied. Dr. Helen Baker on Earth confirmed that the resonance was working perfectly. The sun's energy output increased by 20%. Solar flares reached out into space like giant arms of fire. The light from Earth's star began to flicker in a way that had never happened before. Commander Lisa Stone joined Jake at the front of the bridge. She had been monitoring the alien fleet's reactions. Captain, their ships have stopped moving. I think we got their attention. Jake opened a communication channel that would broadcast to every ship in the alien fleet. He wanted every alien to hear what he was about to say. Attention, Dominion Fleet, Jake began. This is humanity's final warning. You came to our world thinking we were weak. You thought we would surrender like the other species you have conquered. You were wrong. On the view screen, Commander Zeth was talking rapidly to other aliens on his ship. Jake could see fear in those large black eyes for the first time. We have studied your history, Jake continued. 17 different species surrendered to you without a real fight. They chose slavery over death. We make a different choice. The sun's flares were now visible from space without telescopes. Amy monitored the readings from Earth as the star pulsed with increasing energy. The gravitational resonance was building toward a critical point. Observe our sun, Jake said to the aliens. We have triggered a controlled solar flare that will be visible across the galaxy. But this is only the beginning. If you do not leave our system immediately, we will trigger a complete stellar collapse. Commander Zeth found his voice again. You are bluffing. No species would destroy itself. Jake's expression became deadly serious. We are not like the other species you have conquered. We would rather die free than live as your slaves. Dr. Kevin Walsh confirmed that the alien fleet was scanning Earth's sun with their instruments. They could see that the solar flares were real and growing stronger. Your scientists can verify what we are doing, Jake told the aliens. The gravitational resonance is building. In 6 hours, we can either stabilize the sun or trigger a complete collapse that will destroy this entire system. On Earth, President Wilson watched the sun from his office window. The sky had a strange orange glow as solar energy filled space around the planet. Every person on Earth could see that something was happening to their star. Commander Zeth spoke with other aliens, off-screen, then returned his attention to Jake. If you trigger this collapse, you will all die. Yes. Jake replied without hesitation. But so will your fleet. And the gravitational waves from our sun's destruction will carry a message across the galaxy. Every civilization will know that humanity chose death over surrender. The alien commander was silent for long moments. Jake could see him calculating, trying to understand humans who would make such a choice. Amy reported that the alien ships were slowing down. Some had even stopped completely. The perfect formation was beginning to break apart as individual commanders hesitated. "This is madness," Commander Zeth finally said. "This is freedom," Jake replied. "Something your Dominion has never understood." Lisa Stone activated the ship's long-range communicators. Jake's next words would be broadcast across multiple star systems, carried by quantum signals that traveled faster than light. "Let every species in this galaxy hear these words," Jake announced. "Humanity bows to no one. We will not be conquered. We will not be enslaved. And we will never surrender our freedom even if it costs us our lives." The message spread through space, reaching alien worlds that had surrendered to the Dominion years ago. On those conquered planets, beings who had given up hope began to listen. Commander Zeth's image flickered as his ship's systems tried to analyze the solar resonance. "You cannot be serious about this." Jake looked directly into the alien's large black eyes. "We are human. We are always serious about freedom." The sun continued to flare, sending waves of energy through the solar system. Earth's star had become a beacon visible across interstellar space, announcing humanity's defiant choice to the cosmos. The alien fleet hung motionless in space, their commanders trying to decide what to do about a species crazy enough to threaten their own star rather than submit to conquest. The sun exploded with light and fire like nothing anyone had ever seen before. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the horizon as Earth's star became a giant torch in space. Solar flares reached out millions of miles, painting the darkness with streams of burning gas. Dr. Kevin Walsh stared at his instruments in amazement. "Captain, the energy output is incredible. This flare is 1,000 times bigger than anything in recorded history. On Earth, 3 billion people looked up at the sky and saw their sun flickering like a candle in the wind. The light was brighter than normal, casting strange shadows across the planet. Some people were afraid. Others understood that their leaders were fighting for their freedom in the only way possible." Dr. Alex Turner worked frantically at his control station in Colorado. The gravitational resonance was at the perfect level. The sun was responding exactly as his calculations predicted. But keeping it stable required constant adjustments. "Solar output is holding steady at 200% of normal," Alex reported to Admiral Carl Hayes. "The flare is visible from at least 50 light-years away." Admiral Hayes watched the displays showing the alien fleet's position. "Any response?" from the Dominion ships. "They've stopped moving completely," reported General Nancy Parker. "Their entire fleet is just sitting there in space." Back on the horizon, Jake kept his communication channel open to Commander Zeth. The alien leader had been silent for 10 minutes, clearly trying to understand what humans were doing. "This is impossible," Commander Zeth finally said. "No species would risk destroying their own world." Lieutenant Amy Collins monitored the alien fleet's communications. She could detect increased chatter between their ships. The aliens were talking to each other, probably trying to decide what to do. "Commander Zeth," Jake said calmly, "you have conquered 17 different species. Did any of them threaten to destroy their own star rather than surrender?" The aliens' large black eyes seemed to focus on something far away. "No, they begged for mercy. They offered us their resources, their people, anything to survive." "Then you understand that humans are different," Jake replied. Commander Lisa Stone stepped forward. "Commander Zeth, how many of your ships would survive if our sun collapses?" The alien leader looked uncomfortable. "The gravitational shockwave would destroy everything within 10 light-years, but you would die too." "That's the point," Lisa said simply. "We would rather die free than live as slaves." On Earth, Dr. Helen Baker was monitoring the sun's core. Temperature. The gravitational resonance was causing huge changes deep inside the star. If they pushed too hard, the collapse would become unstoppable. "Alex, we're approaching the critical threshold," Helen warned. "If we increase the resonance anymore, we won't be able to reverse it." Alex wiped sweat from his forehead. They were walking on the edge of a cliff, and one wrong step would mean the end of everything. "Understood, holding at current levels. Commander." Zeth spoke to someone off-screen, then returned his attention to Jake. "My science officers confirm that your star is becoming unstable. But surely you will not follow through with complete destruction." Jake's expression never changed. "Test us and find out." The alien fleet began to move again, but not toward Earth. Several ships turned away from the solar system. Others held their position, waiting for orders. Dr. Kevin Walsh detected new signals from the alien ships. "Captain, they're sending messages back toward their home territory. Long-range communications using quantum transmission. They're reporting to their superiors," Jake realized. "The Dominion leadership is learning about humanity's response." Amy picked up additional transmissions. "Captain, I'm detecting communications on frequencies we've never seen before. I think they're talking to other Dominion fleets across the galaxy." Word of humanity's demonstration was spreading faster than light through the alien communication network. On conquered worlds throughout the galaxy, other species were learning that someone had finally stood up to the Dominion. Commander Zeth received new messages from his own fleet. Several ship captains were requesting permission to withdraw from the system. They had never faced an enemy willing to destroy itself, rather than surrender. "Your actions are causing disruption throughout our territory," Commander Zeth told Jake. "Species that accepted Dominion rule are beginning to question their decisions." Jake smiled for the first time since the crisis began. "Good. Maybe they'll remember what freedom feels like." On a planet called Kepler 442b, a species called the Thirans watched the quantum broadcasts from Earth's solar system. They had surrendered to the Dominion 3 years ago after a brief war. Now they saw humans threatening to destroy their own star, rather than submit. Elder Thiran leader Kef called an emergency council meeting. "The humans have shown us something we forgot. There are things worth dying for." Similar meetings were happening on worlds across the galaxy. The Zephyrians on Tau Ceti, the Aquarians near Vega, the crystalline beings of the Centauri system. All had surrendered to the Dominion. All were now reconsidering their choices. Back in Earth's solar system, the demonstration continued. The sun's flares were now visible to the naked eye from Mars and Jupiter. Space stations throughout the system reported beautiful but terrifying auroras as solar particles hit their shields. President Wilson addressed the people of Earth from his office. "Citizens of Earth, what you see in the sky today is our declaration of independence to the galaxy. We have shown the universe that humanity will never bow to tyrants." Commander Zeth made one final attempt to understand human logic. "If we withdraw our fleet, will you stabilize your star?" Jake looked at the alien commander with steady eyes. "If you leave our system and never return, yes. But if any Dominion ship ever approaches Earth again, we will not hesitate to complete what we started today." The alien leader was quiet for several minutes. Jake could see him consulting with other beings on his ship. Finally, Commander Zeth returned to the screen. "The Dominion fleet is withdrawing from your system," he announced. "But this will not end here. Word of your actions will spread. You have started something that cannot be stopped." "We know," Jake replied. That was the point. One by one, the alien ships began turning away from Earth. Their perfect formation broke apart as they headed back toward deep space. The invasion was over. Dr. Alex Turner began the delicate process of stabilizing Earth's sun. It would take 6 hours to safely reduce the solar flares back to normal levels. But the hardest part was over. Admiral Hayes sent a message to Jake. "Well done, Captain. You've saved Earth and given hope to the galaxy." Jake watched the alien fleet disappear into the darkness between stars. The demonstration was complete, but its effects would ripple across the cosmos for generations. Humanity had announced to the universe that some things were worth more than life itself. The sun continued to burn brightly, No longer just Earth's star, but a beacon of freedom visible across the galaxy. The alien fleet disappeared into the darkness of space, but Captain Jake Morrison was not finished. He stood on the bridge of the horizon and opened a communication channel that would reach every corner of the galaxy. His next words would change the universe forever. "This message is for every living being in the cosmos," Jake began. His voice was calm but filled with power. "Today you have witnessed something that has never happened before. A species has chosen death over slavery." Lieutenant Amy Collins worked at her station, making sure the message reached every frequency and every communication network in known space. Quantum transmitters carried Jake's words faster than light to distant star systems. "My name is Captain Jake Morrison of the human race," Jake continued. "We are a young species from a small world called Earth. Today, alien invaders came to conquer us. They had superior weapons and technology. They expected us to surrender like 17 other species before us. On Earth, Dr. Alex Turner was slowly bringing the sun back to normal. The massive solar flares were shrinking, but their light would be visible across the galaxy for weeks. Every civilization with telescopes would see what humanity had done. Instead of surrendering, we threatened to destroy our own star," Jake's message continued. "We showed the Dominion fleet that humans would rather die free than live as slaves. This is our gift to the galaxy, the knowledge that tyranny can be resisted." The message reached the Theron homeworld first. Elder Kef gathered his people in the Great Assembly Hall. For 3 years they had lived under Dominion rule, giving away their resources and their freedom. "The humans have shown us the way," Kef announced to his people. "We forgot that some things are worth dying for. Today we remember." On the ocean world of Aquatica, the fish-like Aquarians received Jake's message in their underwater cities. They had surrendered to the Dominion, without firing a single shot. Now they listened to words from a species that chose death over submission. Queen Nerida of the Aquarians called her war council. "Prepare our weapons. The humans have reminded us what courage looks like." Commander Lisa Stone monitored communications from across the galaxy as Jake's message spread. Hundreds of alien species were receiving the broadcast. Many had been conquered by the Dominion. Others lived in fear of conquest. "Captain," Lisa reported, "I'm detecting increased military activity on at least 12 worlds. It looks like rebellions are starting." Jake smiled. This was exactly what he had hoped for. "Continue broadcasting on all frequencies. Make sure everyone hears the message." Dr. Kevin Walsh picked up emergency transmissions from Dominion command centers. "Captain, the aliens are in panic. Their communication networks are overloaded with reports of uprisings. On the crystal world of Centauri Prime, the crystalline beings began to glow with inner light. They had not fought back when the Dominion arrived 5 years ago. But Jake's words awakened something they thought they had lost forever. "Prepare the harmonic weapons," commanded the Crystal Council. "We will sing the song of freedom once more." Back on Earth, Admiral Carl Hayes watched, reports coming in from space observatories around the galaxy. Every major civilization was talking about humanity's demonstration. The Dominion's empire was shaking. "General Parker," Carl called. "What's our current military status?" General Nancy Parker checked her displays. "All human ships are ready for action. But I don't think we'll need them. The galaxy is doing our fighting for us." The Zephyrian Windriders on Tau Ceti Prime launched their sky ships for the first time in years. They had forgotten how it felt to fly free. Jake's message reminded them that freedom was worth any price. President Wilson addressed the people of Earth from the White House. "Citizens of Earth, today we did more than save our world. We lit a fire of freedom that will burn across the galaxy." Jake's message continued to spread. "To every species that lives under Dominion rule, you are not alone. Resistance is possible. Freedom is worth fighting for. We have shown you that the strongest weapon against tyranny is the willingness to die rather than submit." On 17 different worlds, the species that had surrendered to the Dominion began to organize. They shared Jake's message in secret. They planned coordinated strikes against their oppressors. Commander Zeth's fleet was still retreating when the first rebellion began. The Thyrans attacked the Dominion garrison on their homeworld. They fought with a fury that the aliens had never seen before. Dr. Helen Baker monitored the sun as it returned to normal brightness. The solar flares are stabilizing. Our star will be back to normal output within 12 hours. But the effects of their demonstration would last forever. Across the galaxy, species that had given up hope were remembering what it meant to be free. Amy picked up a transmission from the crystalline beings. Their harmonic weapons were destroying Dominion ships with songs that shattered metal and energy shields. Music had become their weapon of liberation. "Captain," Amy reported, "I'm counting active rebellions on 8 worlds now. The Dominion is losing control of their empire." Jake opened another channel to broadcast one final message. "To the Dominion leadership, your empire is built on fear. Today, we have shown the galaxy that fear can be defeated. Your time as conquerors is over." The Aquarians launched their first attack 2 hours later. Their bioships rose from the ocean depths to strike at orbital Dominion stations. Water and technology combined in ways the aliens had never imagined. Within 24 hours, the Dominion was fighting rebellions on 15 worlds. Their perfect empire was falling apart because one small species had chosen death over slavery. Commander Lisa Stone compiled the reports from across the galaxy. "Captain, the Dominion is pulling ships from conquered worlds to deal with the uprisings. Their invasion fleets are being recalled." "Good," Jake replied. "Let them learn what happens when free beings decide to fight back." The Zephyrians' windships danced through space, attacking Dominion vessels with tactics the aliens could not predict. The crystal beings sang their enemies to death. The Therans fought with the fury of the oppressed finally awakened. Dr. Alex. Turner confirmed that Earth's sun was now completely stable. "The demonstration is complete, Captain. Our star is back to normal." But normal would never be the same. Jake's message had traveled to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The idea of resistance had taken root in millions of minds. 1 month later, the Dominion Empire had lost half of its territory. Species that had been slaves for years were now free. New alliances formed between liberated worlds. Admiral Hayes received reports from Earth's intelligence services. "The Dominion is retreating to their core worlds. Their expansion has stopped completely." General Parker smiled as she read the latest military updates. "The galaxy is forming a new alliance. 37 species have pledged to work together to prevent future tyranny." Jake stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching Earth's sun shine peacefully in the distance. Humanity had saved themselves, but more importantly, they had saved the galaxy. The stars no longer seemed cold and distant. They were homes to free beings who had learned that liberty was worth any sacrifice. Humanity had taught the universe, a lesson that would echo through history. Some things are more important than survival, and freedom is always worth fighting for.